Hello, everybody. Welcome to GT Planet and welcome to another one of our podcastants, as we tend to call them. My name's Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to be joined by Andrew Evans. Andrew, we've had another update to the game 1.59. As usual, we have some new cars to play with, of course. No new tracks again. And this time, the usual sort of smaller changes that come with that. What would you say has been the highlight to this new update?
Well, I think the key word for the update is whimsy. We've got 4 new cars. Two of them are perhaps vehicles that people wouldn't ordinarily choose, but they certainly do come with their own little idiosyncrasies. And there's a couple of cars, one that's highly requested and was featured on the infamous Datamined list, and one that's been curiously missing for quite a while. Actually, it's like not been in since GT6, and it fills out a range of vehicles, all the generations of one that we've been waiting for quite a while. But yeah, for me, it's the fun modifications you can apply to 2 of the cars, which is let's say the unexpected Honda CR-V, and then particularly the Suzuki Carry, the K-Truck, which is a wonderful little thing.
Yeah, it really is a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen any of the changes yet, everybody, if you've got the game, go in and just have a look. There is an absolute plethora of stuff you can do to the thing. And I do plan a small video where we do something funny with that. But for me, I mean, the Ferrari, starting off with a bit more of an in-depth jump into each car. The Ferrari Superfast 812, it lives up to its name, flipping heck. Like I expected it to, feel fast as it often does. But when you do some of the Ferrari challenge races or the Ferrari circuit challenge races, I did Lago Maggiore, and it was just, it blew me away. Like, it was incredible in a straight line. It made F430 Scuderias look like they were sat in reverse. It was ridiculous, but it had the braking and handling capability to go with it, because that's what you often find with the road cars, isn't it? That you could jump out of a Group 3 car, for example, get in a road car, and suddenly you have to brake 5 days earlier than you would have normally had to make a corner. But it's a very, very good all-round performing car, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's by definition, it's more of a Grand Tourer than it is a sports car. So you do kind of have to go into it with the kind of keep in mind the fact that it's a relatively heavy front engine V12 at that, rear wheel drive, 800-ish horsepower Grand Tourer. It's not really designed to do the whole kind of the circuit stuff that the mid-engine and the supercars are intended for. So you do kind of have to temper your expectations a little bit, but it's effectively an extremely heavy facelift of the F12 Berlinetta that we already had.
Yeah,
and Ferrari made improvements to literally everything, including the 4-wheel steering system that it's got, largely developed from the F12 TDF, which was a track car, made from the F12. So yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's almost too fast for the public roads. It's it's a bit of a beast, but you do have to bear in mind that it is slightly heavier, and the anchor is in the front rather than behind you, so you kind of do have to not go in expecting it to drive around like a 488 might, but it is nonetheless a bit of a beast.
And then the Honda CR-V, I mean, I jumped into that, and I was again surprised by the strange gearbox characteristics of it. Obviously, it's a car where you could lift off the throttle coming into a corner and it'll sound like you're still flat out. The first few times it happened, I had to check that my throttle pedal wasn't broken or something, because it keeps the revs up, obviously, to carry whatever engine momentum it can. And it reminds me of when I first drove the Aqua, the Toyota Aqua. You have a similar style of behavior there. And it's one you have to get used to, but it's nippy for what it is. I wasn't expecting it to be that quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's the latest in a range. I mean, we've actually had 3 in a row now, I think, where we've had an update with a C-ish segment crossover. So it's kind of like unexpected that you would get this car in a game, but also, we were kind of thinking there would be something like this on the way. I think perhaps we were a bit surprised it wasn't a Nissan Qashqai, or as Jordan would call it, the Rogue Sport. But it's Kazunori Yamauchi has previously stated that car enthusiasts are more and more driving in real life SUVs because we're getting. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm getting old. We've got kids, we've got dogs, we've got stuff, and people are kind of graduating up into these larger cars. I mean, I do also drive an SUV, but I drive a ridiculous one. I drive a Mazda CX-7, which is the 6 MPS saloon in a SUV body. So I'm not going to cast any stones against car enthusiasts who drive SUVs. This one perhaps is not what people were looking for because it's as you say, it's the hybrid. It's very barely tunable. There's probably not going to be any engine swaps for it. I mean, we've not seen engine swaps for any of the EVs or the hybrids so far. There is a fantastic time attack body kit for it. It has to be said. So it almost defines all show no go, but it does look great.
Yeah. I admit it's a fantastic looking car as well. It's a very beefy looking machine. It's got a real presence to it. I tried it for some of the footage that we did on release day of the update. I just did it against a load of Sunday Cup cars, and it looked menacing compared to a lot of its competitors. So yeah, certainly a good looking vehicle. And then on the other side of things, the very friendly looking Suzuki Carry. It is a wonderful, fun little car, and it's one of those cars, isn't it, that really defines Gran Turismo. It's just something that on the street, if you're used to seeing it every day, you'd just disregard it as an absolute shed. But when you put it in a game and you've got so many modifications like we have here, it really highlights the fun aspect of what Polyphony do, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's something like 40 odd different ways of putting front and rear and side skirts on it and spoilers, and there's lots of different options for the front grille. You can give it the old Will Poulter look that on the old bad boy bonnet, and there's all sorts. You can make something like 60-ish different looking vehicles out of this, including a noodle truck because why not?
Why not? And
like a little miniature European racing truck. It's it's. I mean, I've just got on my screen right here. I've just been doing the Eiger Nordwand lightweight K Cup race in it, which is one of the 3 new races we've had this month. And yeah, it's a hilarious little thing. And I've got it slammed. I've got it on little 13-inch Pokal wheels, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, it's one of those perfect little. The nugget of Gran Turismo, it's distilled GT, and it is. I mean, like I said earlier on, whimsy is the most whimsical car we've had.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's good fun. It's so lovable as a machine. And like I say, we'll be doing a little bit of content with that and playing with that. And then, of course, a car like you say, it's not been in Gran Turismo games for quite a while now. But I think, as you wrote, it's in a slightly different spec to ones we've seen before, is it not? The Corvette C5.
So yeah, it's. In previous GT games, we've had the 2001 and 2004 model years. This is the 2000 and 2004 model years. This is the 01. So it could be that this is just reflecting American model years because American model years tend to start in the February of the year before. So It could be that this is a 2000 car, but it's a 2001 model year. But it is the earlier of the Z06s. It's Z. It's the earlier of the Z06. So it's got the slightly less powerful engine with the 385 horsepower. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's been missing for a while. It's one of those that's why has it been missing? Why is it the last of the 8 generations to come to the game? But even bearing in mind, we had the 04 as a premium model in GT6, and these were obviously supposed to be future proofed. So it's a stunner that. The last time it was new in a game was 2013.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's taken basically a whole Grand Theft Auto game life cycle to get the Corvette back again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been a strange one to see that sort of massive gap. But then again, with how much they've refined the fidelity of all the cars they bring us now, they've obviously decided it was time for an overhaul with it and maybe just couldn't get hold of one. But I see a few of them even where I live here in the UK. But yeah, I enjoyed driving it. I thought it performed a lot better than I expected it to. I expected the usual sort of beefy front-engine American car behavior where it's a rocket in a straight line despite only revving to about 2,000 RPM and then not stopping for corners. But driving it around Laguna Seca was really good fun, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed kicking the back end out a little bit. And yeah, it warned me every so often that you can't just plant your foot. It's a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, it does have a bit of a slide on. I mean, it's subject to a time trial at Dragon Trail, which obviously started with the update. And we've also got a new weekly challenge, which is the Corvette One Make, and it's in a lovely. And I want to be very careful when I say inspired by
Yes.
the C5R livery. There's a whole bunch of liveries in the game. In this race that features all 8 generations of the Corvette, and there's several inspired by liveries from the C6 and the C8 particularly has got the yellow and the grey. Obviously, without the official sponsors or any mention of the race team that manufactures and runs these vehicles. But yeah, it's a cracking car, and it's long overdue. And I have had quite good fun driving it. It's a little tricky to tame. It can be a little bit slidey on those little tight. I mean, I've hit the chicane of death so many times now. Basically, you've got a choice between having a good lap or making it through the chicane of death. You can't do both of those in the same lap unless you are Ryota Kokoboon, who is a second ahead of everybody.
That's mad. Absolutely mad. Yeah. You mentioned actually the races earlier on. We've got a few new races that have come to the game now, one of which being the K Cup race this time round. They've spread them out a little bit in this update as well, haven't they? They acquire sort of a little bit of interest in all corners of the game.
Yeah, so usually when we have an update, we tend to see a race per car. So we've got you get 3 cars, and there is a race that is appropriate to each of the 3 vehicles. We've got 4 cars this time around, and the Honda doesn't have a race that is particularly suitable for it. So it's kind of like left to its own devices. But you have obviously the K truck, the Carry has the lightweight K race Eiger, the Ferrari has the Ferrari Circuit Challenge race, obviously, and then the Corvette has a round of the American FR challenge. American FR Challenge 550, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 3 cars each have a race that is suitable for them.
Yeah, and it's nice that they get their own little corner like that, except for the Honda, obviously, in this case, which seems a strange one. But again, I think it just comes naturally as that sort of car comes to the game. I think the K cars are that far down the performance scale that it's almost funny to make races for them, whereas the Honda's in a bit more of a, we know people will drive this for real, sort of nice and slowly on the road. So maybe they couldn't find a perfect sort of area to sort of shoehorn it into.
Perhaps we'll have a C-segment crossover weekly challenge that comes up with the CHR and the CX-30.
Yeah, very true. And as you said, maybe the Suzuki Carry can be pushed into the pickups alongside the Tundra and the F450.
Unfortunately, it's not eligible. Neither that nor the Unimog are eligible for the pickup truck race, which is,
there'd be some interesting back markers, I'm sure, at some point.
I mean, it'd be great on the 2 rally courses.
Well, yeah,
it'd be fantastic driving it around Lake Louise.
Oh god,
against the massive Tundra and the F-150.
You could probably go underneath them. To be fair, you could slide between them.
Just land in the bed.
Yeah, he'd be second by mere thousands. Obviously, with the update as well, though, comes the usual sort of smaller additions that we have that sort of get buried away sometimes, don't they? Like we've got new Scapes, but not quite new Scapes. They're similar locations, but different angles, settings, things you can play with. And the usual engine swaps as well that we have coming through.
So the Scapes this time around are a curation with some predefined settings. So they basically are existing locations, but they have been kind of you go in and the camera settings are set so that it highlights specific portions of these things, and it's kind of geometric lines and squares for this bunch. And there's cars pre-positioned in it as well, but you can kind of scrub it out and you can change the settings back to normal. But this curation has this kind of setup, so that you can take what other people have identified as artistic shots and fake your photography abilities. And we've got 10 engine swaps this time round, which is a nice big bumper haul, because normally it's 5. We've seen a 4 and a 6, and we've seen the odd 10 when we've had these. I don't want to say mistimed, but out of usual monthly sequence updates. We have seen 10 before.
Yeah.
Obviously, people were expecting an end of April update. So this is, I suppose, kind of like we're just over a week, 2 weeks late. So I think, again, it's not really late because updates aren't supposedly monthly by design.
But it feels out of sync, doesn't it?
But it does feel, So we do have 10 engine swaps this time around. Some of them are just crackers. The
They
Honda
are.
2 and 4, which is basically a motorbike engine in the back of the Fiat 500. There's a few swaps for the GT3 RS, the current GT3 RS engine. The Escudo Pikes Peak, of all things, the car
Blasphemy.
famous for its 986 horsepower engine, has this Hayabusa-derived Suzuki V8 from the Vision GT in it. And it drops the power considerably, but I've seen a lot of people saying that actually it makes the car a lot better to drive, because the Escudo has massive amounts of turbo lag, because basically it was designed to still have the same amount of power at 14,000 feet in the air, because obviously as you increase elevation and air density drops, naturally aspirated car power falls, so it has these massive turbos to force air in, so it's still got enough power to carry on up the top of the hill climb. So this engine swap reduces the base power. There's still some modifications available to it, but lots of people have said it actually makes it far more drivable.
Well,
and the Radical with the same engine. Oh my god!
yeah,
That's fantastic.
And hopefully that makes the Radical a bit nicer to drive as well, because I don't think there's one individual car in the game that I dislike driving more than that Radical after some of the time trials and things that there were. But
Absolutely love the Radical. It is an absolute cheat code for any 600 pp race.
yeah,
So that any of those races where you've got that idiotic Giulia, which has considerably more power than it's supposed to, any of those races, the Radical can absolutely hose it in anything that's got any corners. I just love the car, but with the V8 in it,
And that's actually one of the standout best sounding engines in the game, I think, as well. That Vision GT car, the Suzuki, which is just a crazy thing to look at. It makes a great racket. Whenever you go up against it and it goes by, it is one that sort of makes you go, "Ooh, hello," as it screams by, or when you go by it. So I'm excited.
Side,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think there was a race a while ago at the Nürburgring that we spoke about. I think it was on the Grand Prix circuit in Group 3 cars, and I said, well, why don't we use the Suzuki, because it seems all right, and it drank fuel at like almost twice the rate of everything else. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not always the top pick. Moving away from the update just briefly though, we've obviously got quite a lot to look forward to this year with the Gran Turismo World Series, and I mean, it's the 16th of May today when we're recording this, and it'll be 10 minutes until London is around the corner. So, yeah it'll be on as a very, very apparently and very suddenly, won't it?
Yeah, June the 7th. So it's going to be the first live event that Gran Turismo staged in the UK since GT Sport launch, I guess, at Copperbox, which was, I don't know, 2016. So, Oh my God, how long ago was that?
9 years ago.
Yeah, it's actually not going to be too far away either. I mean, it's going to be at the BBC Television Centre, or what used to be the BBC Television Centre, in one of the old studios that they used to use for filming Blue Peter and Noel's House Party, would you believe? And so, it's one of those, kind of really looking forward to it. The tickets have been on sale for a little while now. We haven't had any announcement that they're sold out yet, so the tickets are probably still available. These live events usually come with a reveal of what's coming up in a future update, or some new cars that they're unveiling, or some new collaborations, which they could do with, because we've seen a few sponsors and partners dropping out of the World Series in recent years. So, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. The qualification for it has been a little bit controversial here and there. We've seen for the Manufacturers' Cup, we saw a couple of drivers completely disqualified from the whole thing for pretending to be each other in different regions, which was quite something. We've had a couple of disqualifications in the Nations Cup as well. There's been a little bit of bad blood in the North American one, which should be fun come Los Angeles. But I mean, there's the usual intrigue, and it seems to be a little bit smaller event in terms of participation than previous years, because there's only 12 spots available for the Nations Cup, and 3 of them are reserved for the best drivers from last year. So there's only been 9 qualification spots, and that's meant that North America and Oceania and Asia have only had 1 spot each. So everyone's been fighting out for this top, and it's probably contributed quite a bit to this desire to bend the rules a little bit, shall we say, and the acrimony of it. But it's going to be fun. There might be some fireworks at the event. So But from our point of view, from a fan's point of view, I'm hoping that they're going to be revealing something
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You'd hope that they see it as the perfect stage to do so. Like you said, they've done it before, and it's the best way for people to all be in one
Mm.
place at the same time and see it and get eyes on. So we remain hopeful for whatever that may be for the future of Gran Turismo 7 and beyond as well. But like you say, I think that without a bit of controversy, sometimes the World Series and special events can sort of tick over. It can almost be like a tick box. We've got that one done, on to the next round. I think the added controversy and a bit of pressure will maybe heighten things a bit, because I know at one stage we were worried that a number of competitors were saying, I'm doing this year, I'm doing real world racing, I'm not going to be in it this time round. We thought they were dropping like flies at one point, but it still seems to be, they've bolstered quite a decent grid though, haven't they, of big names from before.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've got the top three drivers from last year, but of 2024's finalists, 9 of the 12 have come back and qualified, or including the 3 who were in by right. 9 of the 12 are the same names as last year.
Yeah.
And we've got some good-looking newcomers, and I don't mean good-looking as in handsome. I mean as in upsetting the apple cart. There's a couple of youngsters who haven't previously qualified through their age. One of them, I think, turned 18 in the middle of the Nations Cup, and he's qualified for both the manufacturers and the nations this time. So it's going to be good to see some new faces, but there's some good old guard as well. I think there's 4 champions, and I think there's 5 titles between them, obviously including Miyazono in the Nations Cup. And the manufacturers looks like there's going to be some intrigue there as well, with a little swapping around of the teams at the bottom end. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to see Genesis this year, because obviously they're no longer a partner, and they didn't make the cut, so they didn't get to qualify. But the other 2 brands, Toyota and Mazda, they managed to qualify, as well as naturally being drafted in due to their partner status. So it's looking to be good. But the one thing that I'm really hoping is that they reveal a new track, because it's been almost a year.
Yeah,
July 2024 was the last new track to Gran Turismo 7, and although I do love it, Eiger Nordwand is not the best racetrack out there.
No.
It's very good it features with the K event this time around. It's good for that sort of thing, little tiny dinky things, bit of door banging here and there. There's not that much track space. It's not good for anything faster or anything larger.
No.
We kind of need a real racetrack.
We really do.
It's been almost a year since the last new circuit.
And it feels like longer than that, admittedly. It feels like much longer than that as well. And I completely agree. Nordwand is fantastic. Wonderful scenic circuit. It's great to just go for a drive there, in something slower. Little like the production cars I used in my Sophie video. I took them around there for a laugh, and it's great fun because they can handle the tighter turns and the narrow confines of the place. But it's not a grand stage to host something like a Group 1 prototype race or big beefy GT cars. Just doesn't quite have that prowess about it, and it's definitely needed to be followed up by a grand, I'd say a Grand Prix circuit, something FIA Grade 1, something big. It needs to be a real grand stage circuit again, because I think if it's anything very niche, I mean, before Eiger we had Lake Louise, didn't we? And again, there's a very small pocket of what you can do with a circuit like that. It's great that you can drive any car there, sure, with the right tyres and so on, but it just limits the ability to use it in a championship or in an event, for example. They need to help themselves, I think, with a very major circuit, or even if it's a fantasy one. Bring back Apricot Hill, please, or midfield. Or Apricot Hill in Gran Turismo 7. Can you imagine how good that would be?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't make too many changes to it.
Yes.
And obviously, we've been with Trial Mountain, and we've seen with Deep Forest, and we've seen with Grand Valley, particularly, that there's been a lot of changes to some of these tracks. Eiger's survived pretty much intact. The only thing that's changed really is the pit lane.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that we're kind of waiting for, the one that we sort of know might be coming at some point. It's really cagey, that, isn't it? Is Motegi.
Yeah,
that was one that has been spoken about by people who kind of at the circuit who kind of know this sort of thing. That Motegi is one of those that's on the list, that it's been scanned. As far as we know, it's been scanned. Yeah. So that's kind of the one that we're waiting for, and that's a circuit that hosts Super Formula and Super GT.
Absolutely.
It's, you can accuse it of being a little bit featureless here and there. but it's a proper racetrack. It's
Yeah.
perfect, and I missed some of the old smaller layouts. I remember doing a GT Academy event with the. It was before the Pro-Am days of media versus each other, and then with a pro driver, where we did a media race at one of the Motegi layouts. I think it was the West Short course, and it's just fantastic stuff.
Just a square with a chicane.
I missed that track.
It's brilliant. Well, funnily enough, in a league that I host on another sim elsewhere, we were racing just 2 days ago at Motegi East, and it proved to be a fantastic circuit for what we needed, and I love the place. And let's not forget as well, there is an oval there as well. Its old name, Twin Ring Motegi. There is a massive oval that they could also use potentially if they have that as a layout. It's got the stupidest name, I think, though, of any motor circuit at the moment. It's called Motability Resort Motegi, which is just...
Mobility Resort.
Mobility. Motability is what...
the oval was damaged in an earthquake.
Oh, was it?
Possibly damaged. It was. There were structural defects detected after the earthquake, and
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was quite a few years ago.
Well, hopefully they can just smooth it out in game and it'll be fine. But you never know. But we obviously keep our fingers crossed for that. Any sort of large announcement with the circuit, they might be hiding it very well from us. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot to look forward to on the horizon, isn't there, after this update? And hopefully another update with more cars and more exciting stuff to come in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sign that they're actually slowing down with the rate of updates. I mean, we could say that obviously the addition of circuits has slowed down quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But in general terms, the pace of adding cars actually hasn't changed since GT Sport launched.
Yeah.
It has slowed a little bit. So between GT Sport arriving and its last updates, it was getting about 4 cars a month on average. We're just under that now, and even the gap between Sport and 7, the new cars that were being developed for 7, when 7 arrived, obviously with that time period, the average stayed the same.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere around about 3.8 cars per update, around about 3.4 a month over the game's entire life, and that's it's just under 1 car less than it was since the beginning of GT Sport. So there's no real sign that they're slowing down on this yet.
No.
I mean, with Sport they didn't until they said, okay, now we're going to slow it down, and then we got I think 3 more cars after that. So we're still some way away from this point where GT7 is being kind of moved off into the retirement home and GT8 is on its way. So we're still kind of in the dark as to the timeline of that. So we've got no reason to suspect that there's not going to be, 4 more updates this year.
Yeah.
But, wait and see.
We absolutely will. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this one. And let us know in the comments over on the forums as well on GT Planet what you think of the update and what you think for what could be on the horizon as well. But as for now, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.